We've made it back to Monday, people, but it's not just any Monday. This is a special one because spring football, spring practice returns to the University of Alabama football program on Friday, live in Tuscaloosa. You're rocking and rolling on the hottest show on the streets, #1 forum for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Proud to have you guys checking us out, starting your work week off correctly. We're bringing the show to you from the magic city of Birmingham and streaming it to you on YouTube. Speaking of the channel, go ahead right now. If you haven't done so, hit subscribe right now. Smash that subscribe button to get everything that you crave on Bama football. Also, don't forget to run those likes up. Give us a thumbs up, leave a like on the show. Make this your show, network, channel, platform, and space to talk Bama. Also, turn all of those notifications on. Hit that little bell so that way you don't miss a beat on your favorite program. We got a lot to get to on this evening. Like I mentioned, spring football, spring practice returns Friday for Bama football. We're going to get a glimpse or a first beginning look of this team, the coaches, the players, and Alabama's journey to get back to the college football national championship and try to win that national title. The journey begins here in spring practice. Also, news on Calvin Ridley, the former Alabama wide receiver who was taken in the first round of the 2018 NFL Draft, suspended by the league for gambling, for betting on games. I have my own thought process on that. We'll get to that. We'll get into some critical or the most crucial positions in spring practice that U.S. fans will have your undivided attention on. And of course, recapping that NFL Combine that took place over the weekend. Several former Bama players did outstanding, tested well there at Lucas Oil Stadium. But want to hear from you, the passionate fans of Tide football. And you can do this by calling 205-448-1358. Number to call in right there, 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. Want to hear from you. For daily Super Chat Go, $75. Daily Super Chat Go. Appreciate the love from you guys. Got the man John Ivory in the production studio doing his thing. And you know, when it's Monday, we got the baddest man in the world back by popular demand. And I'm referring to Patrick P. Money Down, the baddest man alive. Pat, you back, man? How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Spring football starting this Friday. I'm as eager as anyone to get back to it.
Absolutely. Patrick Dowd here, breaking news reporter, analyst for Touchdown Alabama Magazine, back in here to talk on more of these positional breakdowns. Spring football taking place for Bama on Friday. So we get into topic number one of the conversation, that being those positional breakdowns. We continue here offensively after discussing the backup quarterback role and the running backs and the wide receivers. We've made it to the big guys, the offensive line. And me personally, I kind of fancy myself a big man in a slender man's body, even though at times it may not feel that way, but kind of fancy myself as such. And Pat, when you look at just this room here, no more Doug Marrone, Eric Wolford assumes the job. Coming over here from Kentucky to coach this offensive line at Alabama. We saw what he did for the Wildcats. It was an offensive line that had Chris Rodriguez Jr. running like crazy, over 1,300 yards rushing. That group for the Wildcats. Joe Moore Award finalist for Alabama after winning the Joe Moore Award in 2020. Not a finalist this past season. So fans have a lot of expectations here on Wolford, trying to see, can he bring a lot of that nasty, dominant physicality that the fans want to see from Alabama's offensive line?
Well, I think he could. He has a lot of experience in the SEC, and he's much more in line with like that sort of old school Alabama offensive line mentality. I know Doug Marrone was criticized this past season. He couldn't really figure it out till near the end of the year, but even then it was still a little inconsistent. I think Wolford is a better fit for this team. And with this group, I think he has a good chance to get back to that sort of mentality.
Already some positive things coming out of the fourth quarter program. When you talk about players and Coach Wolford, they like him. They really feel like he can bring that edge, that swagger, that toughness that Coach Saban wants to see out there on the field. But Alabama, Pat, also graduating some guys to the next level. Evan Neal, who will be looked at as more than likely the #1 overall pick in this upcoming draft, off to the NFL. A tremendous career on his end. Chris Owens, who was at Alabama for 6 seasons, came in 2016, but now both of these two off to the next level.
Yeah, and honestly, replacing Evan Neal is an extremely tall task. It's not necessarily possible to replace the #1 overall pick in the NFL draft, but you know, they have the work cut out for them, and they have some talented guys behind them. I know Chris Owens was a very experienced player. Losing him is a big blow as well. So it's going to be on a couple young guys and a couple guys who've been in the program to really step up in the spring.
So here we go, Pat. We're looking at these guys who've been in the program and maybe some young, fresh names that can get into the field here on the field, create that competition, foster that competition, and get some playing time. So for me, as we did the last time with the wide receivers, we're going to have our projections here to start spring football. Now, of course, these are not set in stone. You can expect some fluctuations, some moving pieces and parts. But just to start spring ball, the first couple of days or so, we'll get into kind of our projections, who we feel like could be the starting five. And I guess for me, Coach Saban likes to have his experienced guys out there first, whether these guys have played big game experience on the offensive line or maybe haven't played, but they know the terminology, they know the system, they know how to get things done, or what it looks like to get things done. So for me, from left to right, I would look at Amari Kite at left tackle, Javion Cohen at left guard, Seth McLaughlin at center, Emil Ekiyor Jr. at right guard, and Damian George at right tackle. Once again, this is not set in stone, but one thing you know about Coach Saban is he likes to get his experience out there first, I guess to give them a chance to fail, to see, do they really know what they're doing? You've been in the program for X amount of years. Let's see what you've been learning, what you've been gleaning, what have you been picking up from guys before you and the coaching staff. But that would just kind of be my five.
Yeah, it's not a bad five. I mean, Nick Saban in the past, even this past year, they had Kendall Randolph, I think, at tackle, too.
That steal was kind of weird, though.
Yeah, I've seen him wear like 85 for his entire career. I've seen him line up a right tackle. But, you know, he does give the older guys in the roster a little bit of a chance to kind of fail, like you said, in the spring. But, I mean, you and I have both have similar lists. I'm going to start with mine, going from left to right. I also have Amari Kite at left tackle. I have Javion Cohen at left guard, Seth McLaughlin at center, Emil Ekiyor right guard. But I have J.C. Latham at right tackle.
He's got the 2021, the big-time recruit at tackle here, Pat.
Yeah, I do. I mean, he's probably their best offensive line prospect that they've had since Evan Neal. And, I mean, this is a guy who came in very highly touted, and last season was served as much more of a reserve role on Alabama's offensive line. I think he was one of the first guys off the bench at guard, and you know I think Nick Saban is going to want him to have sort of a similar career path to Neal, because everyone knows that Neal started at guard, learned the system that way, and then eventually shifted out to tackle. But I think the spring ball is going to be a big opportunity for Latham to get reps at tackle. I think he needs them, especially at this level.
So Pat, you bring up J.C. Latham. Now, Tommy Brockermeyer also came in 2021 class, extremely hyped up, coming from Texas. His father, Blake Brockermeyer, was a Texas legend, former All-American at the University of Texas, played 9 seasons in the NFL, and fans are wondering, Brockermeyer's got to be the guy. Tommy came in, 5-star, big-time tackle prospect. this is a big spring for him. Do you see him fighting his way in or pushing his way in? What are your thoughts on Tommy Brockermeyer this spring?
I mean, playing good football runs in his family, so I think he's a very talented player. Last I checked, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think he's in at 305 pounds right now.
Right there, yeah.
Yeah, so he's a little bit lighter than I think you would like to have at tackle, especially in the SEC. I think he is talented enough to play, but it's just going to be a matter of can he beat out guys like Latham and Amari Kite for that role, and even Damian George might be in the mix too.
When you look at Brockermeyer, of course, also when he came to Alabama and in that 2021 class, he came in with an injury, so probably used last season to get healthy, get acclimated, and get fresh in terms of into the system, into the fray of things where the offensive line is concerned. But now going back to Nathan here, you have him at tackle. He is very versatile because he can play tackle. He can also play guard. Alex Leatherwood came in as a highly rated tackle in 2017, but started off his career at guard before tackle. The same thing with Evan Neal, as you mentioned. Could you see the same thing for Latham, where they kick him inside to guard first and then put him back out for tackle, or do you feel it as more as, look, he's got to be used to tackling at this point?
Well, I think at this point he's got to be used to tackle because I think Alabama, he's not going to beat out Emil Ekiyor or Javion Cohen, I don't think, in spring ball or in the fall. So I think he's a much more natural tackle, standing at 6'6", 330. Alabama's going to need that kind of size out there. So I think now is the time to move him out of tackle, especially – he's a five-star player, and with the transfer portal now, who knows what happens if he waits one more season. So you kind of got – that's just the new age of college football. These five-star recruits, you kind of got to play them right away if you want them to hang around.
Now, when you look at here, just the expectation pad of this offensive line, like I mentioned in the earlier beginning, this was a group, this was an Alabama team that 2020 with Kyle Flood won the Joe Moore Award with guys like Alex Leatherwood, Evan Neal, Landon Dickerson, Deontay Brown, and Mac Jones was sacked, 13 times? And then you fast forward to this past season, Bryce Young sacked 39 times, and you didn't get the center right to week 12, and right tackle was a turnstile, and there was some up and down issues all season with that group, and you go from a Joe Moore Award winner to not even a finalist the next season. What are your expectations for this group, where it's got to bring some nasty back? There's got to be, an attitude adjustment. There's got to be some power and some confidence with this unit here. What are your expectations for this group?
Well, the only thing I want to see is them to have some sort of level of consistency. Even if it's consistently average, it's consistent, because there's too many peaks and valleys with this offensive line last season. They play really good one week, and then the next week they
that Georgia game in the national championship, they looked outstanding.
That Georgia at the SEC championship, but a couple weeks prior against Auburn, they were a disaster. I just want some sort of level of consistency and continuity in this unit. I think Nick Saban will want the same.
Absolutely, and that was against Georgia in the SEC championship, where they looked incredible. But like you mentioned, Pat, the Iron Bowl, it was not where it needed to be. The national championship against Georgia, Bryce Young was getting harassed and sacked and pressured, and just tons of games in the 2021 season when you looked at, where is that toughness, where is that blue collar, where's that it factor when it comes down to this front group. And that is something that Eric Wolford is going to enjoy the challenge of, is bringing that back, is restoring that back. And one thing that Coach Saban wants to see brought back and restored back. That's going to be fun to watch there. People, Alabama's offensive line, can it get back to that dominant sense of play, to that outstanding sense of play, to that Joe Moore Award mentality? Me personally, I do agree with Pat. I want to see consistency in a positive way throughout the entire season. But another thing I want to see is just these guys being able to know, I can put my hands on a defensive lineman and be able to impose my will. Because there were moments in the early part of the Nick Saban era, it didn't matter if it was Chance Warmack or DJ Fluker or Barrett Jones or Andre Smith or Antoine Caldwell. Those guys knew, I can put my hands on defensive linemen and I can drive them to the ground. I can maul them to the ground. I can pancake them. We can impose our will on this opposing defense. So looking forward to seeing some of that here in spring football. But we go to a break, folks, on the show. Don't touch that dial. When we get back, we get into the phone lines to take your calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your chats, your conversations. We got a dialogue with you. The Bama Nation, as spring practice returns this week, Don't go anywhere. You're listening to In My Own Words.
You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Get your four-finger bling necklace today by visiting weownthefourthquarter.com. Throw them foes up.
What's up, Bama Nation? This is Rudy Griffin, former Alabama defensive lineman, and you're listening to my guy, Stephen M. Smith, In My Own Words, brought to you by Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Roll Tide, roll!
Niners helped and released the Alabama Team Paper, which is a video yearbook they put out for sale direct to fans. Now, for the first time, small dollar purchases from the fans can support the players as a group as well as a great cause, because $1 of every subscription payment is donated to the Boys and Girls Club of America. Be a 5-star fan base and support your team and a great cause with Team Paper. Check it out at teampaper.com/Alabama.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
We back into the action here, folks, from the break of a number one form for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine on a Monday, getting that work week started off for you correctly. Also, spring practice kicking off for the Crimson Tide on Friday in Tuscaloosa. But we're going to right now go to the phone lines to take your calls. Call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. I'm going to call in, 205-448-1358. Before we take the phone calls, we got to shout out Jamie Wilhelm. Jamie Wilhelm with that $4.99 in the Super Chats. Appreciate the love there coming from Jamie. Also, that daily Super Chat goes $75. Daily Super Chat go. Appreciate the love coming from you guys. But we grab our first call of the evening. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hey, it's Monday. Everything's all right. If you go down and eat Aunt Emily's pound cake, whew, you can't beat it. Everything sure is going to be all right. Oh, I'll tell you what we was talking about, me and Jamie was there in the chat, Stephen, about Big Jordan Davis running that, what was it, 4.83 40-yard dash. Did I get that right?
He was moving. 4.83. That was unofficial. His official was 4.78, which I'm still like, man.
Well, I don't know. I could have smoked him a little bit back in the day. I had a little bit better, but I don't know all that weight going downhill. That's unreal, a guy that size running at, a speed like that. But, and that's going to put a star in his hat for the NFL. Of course, we all know that. And 4.78 going down. He's got a lot of weight going downhill. Can he stop and cut, though, and regain that speed? That's what it's all about. But I don't know for a lineman that's huge. But anyway, we're going to wish Johnny Musso a happy birthday today, 72. He finished fourth behind Pat Sullivan and won the Heisman Trophy in 1971. I think Rocky got this from Johnny, the Italian stallion. He was the original Italian stallion. And you better catch the Lakers dynasty on HBO. In the 80s, if you wasn't a Lakers fan, you was a Boston fan. Did you catch some of that last night, Stephen? That's going to be some good stuff.
I caught a glimpse of it. It's going to be really good. That's going to be a really good documentary.
That's going to be a good documentary. Ain't no doubt about it. They won 5 championships. Boston won 3, and I forgot who won the other 2 in the 80s. But that's the way it was. But all right, I got to get out of here. It's Monday. Everybody wants to call in. Y'all looking good in the Blue Ridge Gang. We love all of you. It takes all y'all to make this show the number one show in the country, and y'all do that every day, 3 days a week. You'll do it 5 days a week. This on 5 days a week. I believe you'll do it on the weekend 7 days a week. Y'all looking good. Y'all stay safe. Let's meet back here on Wednesday. And I guess that's all I got. I love all of you. Y'all be safe. I'll talk to y'all later. I love everyone. Bye-bye, everyone.
Appreciate Waylon starting us off here on a Monday. We grab this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hey, my name is Aaron Bailey.
I come from Birmingham, Alabama. Hey,
What's
Steve,
going
I
on,
got
man?
a quick question.
Go
Hey,
ahead.
when with Nick Saban will start doing the rotation? Like the last year, like last year, we had players to go down in the championship game. Then he wanted to introduce the freshmen. I want to know when we go get back to the Terrence Cody, to the Cyrus Jones, and the Jonathan Allen and Damon Payne. When we will get them guys back?
Well,
Can't answer me that
Alabama's got to start doing those rotations again, man, this year, because that's one of the main concerns of fans is keeping guys healthy and fresh. You got to rotate those guys. Now, I know last season there was probably some concern about were players truly buying in to what Coach Saban and the staff were telling them to do. That was a concern, but I think this season you got to get back to rotating, and I think Saban will return to keeping guys fresh and rotating them.
Like Elijah said, I'm a big fan of yours, Steve, and I watch your show every day. Every chance I get, I watch it. So that would have been buzzing me as a fan that we got guys who willing to play, and Nick Saban not giving these guys a chance. And when they do have a chance, it's too late. They is already in the season or the championship game. Like Jamin Williamson went down, and John Mitchell went down, then Josh Joel went down. We ain't had nobody to step in them places. It doesn't make sense.
I mean, it does, and that's why it goes to when you're playing against these lower-tier teams like a Mercer or a New Mexico State, you got to give those guys reps because it's one thing to have a practice rep, an in-game rep gives you more confidence. And when you're playing teams like Mercer, New Mexico State, Southern Miss, or even some SEC teams that you're blowing out, you got to give guys reps. So absolutely. And I think Saban understands that you got to have that rotation in pocket. So appreciate that call right there. We go to this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name. Where you calling from?
Hey, Steven. This is Corey from Trustful. How are you doing this afternoon?
Corey, doing great. And yourself?
I'm doing great. I have a couple of things on my mind here. First of all, your thoughts on the Calvin Ridley situation story that broke today.
Story on Calvin Ridley. I mean, for me, I look at there's traditional purists out there that will say Calvin shouldn't have done it. He shouldn't have done it. He should have been gambling or betting on games. But at the same time, I look at it like this. The NFL does not put enough emphasis on domestic violence. Like you can literally beat down your wife, girlfriend, significant other to a pulp. Now, I'm not saying do this, but you got some people that do this, and the NFL doesn't hold that in higher esteem than gambling. You even got the NFL that doesn't hold the substance abuse policy to more high esteem than gambling. So, I mean, I get it. You know, Calvin Ridley shouldn't have done it, but if you're going to sit there and suspend a player for 3 less games for domestic violence than gambling, then where is our order of importance here? What are we prioritizing more here? So I get why the suspension, but a whole season just for $1,500, which is a price for an upscale apartment or a 2 months rent of upscale apartment in Tuscaloosa, sometimes I do not get the NFL's judgment.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, it's just, I get the integrity of the game and all, but like you say, the order and placement of what he did was kind of head scratching. My second question is how much, I don't want to say time, but how much contribution do you think Jeremiah Alexander could we see this season? Because he was very highly rated coming out of Thompson High School and the top prospect coming out of Alabama. What are your thoughts on Jeremiah Alexander coming out for this spring and possibly into the season?
He has a good chance. He has a good chance. And the reason why I say this is, Corey, is Jeremiah is going to put a lot of pressure on Chris Braswell, on Keanu Cole, on Quandarius Robinson to be on their A game. Because if they're not, that young man can take over. I mean, he's got the size to play at the strong side backer position, but he's got the speed to be a jack linebacker also. So Jeremiah is going to find his way in there. The guy's that good. Appreciate my man Corey there for that call. We take this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Steve, what's up, man? This your boy Jay.
Jay, what's happening, man?
Making it, man. I love the way y'all open the show talking about them big boys, man. That's my position now, man. I love them big boys.
I mean, I'm telling you, Jay, sometimes I look at myself, am I a big man in a small man's body, or am I just a small man in a small man's body? I like to think of myself as the big guy, but I feel like this offensive line, after what we saw last season, there's nowhere to go but up, right? I mean, you're bringing brand new offensive line coach. You've got some experience coming back, but you got some young guys that are really chomping to get after it. It's, can Coach Wolford restore some of that nastiness we've seen in years past prior to last year? I think he can, but it starts in spring ball. It starts this Friday.
See, and I hope they change a little bit of the run calls that they calling, man. Bama ain't never been no on first down, pulling the guard, pulling the tackle type team. We usually a double team down block, like me and you finna move this man out the hole, Mark, and
right.
You're finna run up the middle. You know what I'm saying? That's what we are. That's what we got to get back to, because people are still doing the same halfback dive that we've seen since football been created. People ain't doing it, but they still doing it, but they just doing it out of the shotgun, bro. We got to get back to that. I mean, we seen freaking Clyde Edwards get drafted off of that one play, just a halfback dive, hand it to him, let it run up the middle. You already gonna have a favorable box because it's gonna be 5 people. It's gonna be 5 people blocking, and you're gonna have 3 down linemen most of the time nowadays in football, right, Steve? I don't know, man. I think I'll be thinking too. I be thinking too dramatic, because that offensive line, Steve, that's what I played. That's what I love. So when I see the Bama offensive line not playing to Bama standard, it's kind of like, dang, I knew we had a sucky coach in Marone. I mean, you know, if you 1-15 in the NFL, then, it ain't like you're going to be 12-0 when you get to college. You still suck. You just got a different job. But, the schematics was off last year. Emil Ekiyor, that dude weak. You don't bring no weak person on no pool. It's just that simple. Every time the linebacker see him come, what I'm thinking, I'm finna knock his block off. He goes some soft booty. You know what I'm saying, Steve? So guess what? I want him and what's the big dude, George? I want them to come downhill and move you up out the hole. I don't want one of them to pull nowhere. Let's see if they can. If both of y'all can't get him out the hole, then we got a problem. See, we got to go back to straight up. Here come Bama, down your throat. We got the running backs. Let them folks run, man. Let them folks come down here, run. Little screen passes that we used to do. And, man, we should be on the way to the championship again.
Should be. Should be. And Jay's hitting it right here. Jay from Sheffield's hitting it right here nail on the head. It's, you have to have that type of fight in you. You have to have that type of dog in you on the offensive line to straight up man block. Put a hat on a hat, drive your guy out the football, mean business, pancake your guy to the ground, and allow these backs, whether it's Trey Sanders, whether it's Jace McClellan, Jahmyr Gibbs, Roydell Williams, to get up and down the field. Heck, even allow Bryce Young to get some yards up and down the field. You got to have an offensive line, first off, to mean business. Appreciate my man Jay from Sheffield there for that phone call, getting us rocking and rolling here on a Monday. We grabbed this call. You're live on the show. What's going on? How are you feeling? State your name. Where you calling from?
Hi, Stephen. Bill from New York. What's up, brother?
Doing great, Bill. How you feeling?
Good. First thing I want to talk about, I missed the beginning of your show about the OL, but I got to tell you, I know they're going to be better next year if we stay healthy. And the main reason, you saw what this guy Jordan Davis is doing at the combines, right? He's running like a 4.78, whatever it is, in the 40-yard dash. But what did our center do to him in that first game? He held his own in the second game. But in the SEC game, He ran him practically off the field, didn't he? And he's a I don't care, 3-star, 5-star. I don't care if he's playing touch football with 4-year-olds. This guy beat up Jordan Davis. He was moving him around, and we were running the football. We were doing what we had to do against that guy. So now, I mean, with a new coach, the coach we had didn't see this. He didn't have him in there. So the coach we have, we're going to have a much better OL, which is going to translate into more running and more protection for Bryce, who's great. So I'm liking that, and I loved hearing what you said about the linebackers. Like there's another guy you're thinking is going to be great, because I'm going to go out on a limb and say again, if we're healthy, this is the best group of linebackers maybe in the history of college football. You're talking about even if the inside linebackers weren't that good, which I think they're great. I'm more pleased with To'o than most people. Moody, all these guys in back of them, but just the fact with the outside linebackers we have, no one can touch us at that position. So I'm feeling confident tonight. I'm feeling good because your show is so good. Always good to talk to you, and let me know what you think, please.
Absolutely. Appreciate my man Bill from New York right there. Just the outside linebacker position is nasty. When you look at your two starters are Will Anderson and Dallas Turner, that's scary enough, okay? That's DEFCON 1. That's another entity of a freak show with those two, Will and Dallas. And then you add what Jeremiah Alexander can do, what a Giad Campbell can do, what a Chris Braswell could do. Like, that's a very, very deep room. It's insane how deep that room is. And then there's the thought process of you could have Henry To'o at weak side and Jalen Moody at Mike. There's actually been some conversations about that. Will that actually go into fruition? We'll see. But this is a linebacker room for Alabama, provided everybody stays healthy defensively, everybody stays healthy offensively. There's no reason why this team should not get to Los Angeles for the 2023 title game to end the 22 season. But we grab a call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How are you feeling? State your name and where you're calling from.
Hey, how's it going, Steve? It's Tobias out here in Fresno. How you doing, sir?
What's going, West Coast guy? What's going on?
Oh, man, it's beautiful weather, beautiful day. I still got a lot to complete. It's only 4:30 here, but I'm on my way to a meeting and then another meeting and then some more work and all that good stuff. But, man, once again, as always, love the show. Your commentary, man, is just on point. Love your thoughts about the O-line. I'm excited about our defense. But I wanted to call and see, could you, because you have an inside look at it. I have an inside look from my own experiences and some of my past experiences with working with athletes as well. But I just saw a headline that said that Calvin Ridley was suspended for a year for gambling. Is that true?
It is. It was broken this morning. It was broken today by Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, two very big-name people in the media, and also the Falcons put something out on it also.
Okay, so with that said, we have another young man, making bad choices, which happens. It's life. We all make bad choices, and hopefully he recovers well from this suspension. But I was wondering if you could, for all of us listeners, go into all the detailed supports that are that's in a program like University of Alabama for scholarship athletes and just athletes in general. Because I happen to know how much saving and that this program puts into young men when they come into the program. But let me shut up because you guys know I'm talking because I'm a preacher. But I'm going to turn it over to you. Can you go through an exhaustive list of the experience of the student athletes so that people will understand how much quality, like just resources are put into these young men, because I'm always shocked when they make these bad choices given all the resources that they're given. Keep doing great. I'll drop some money in the chat in a minute.
Appreciate Tobias for that call there. Yeah, Coach Saban puts a lot of resources into the athletes. When you look at not just the football side, Alabama's brought in a mental health side of these athletes, whether it's psychological help on the support staff, whether it's psychological help on the support staff, whether it's like mental coaching help on the support side, whether it's financial training help on the support side. Like, there's various of different avenues. There's various of different ways that he continues to enhance the athletes. There is educational help on the support side where the tutors are concerned. There's a lot. Like, there is a lot invested into every single athlete, from education to mental health to counseling to just people in place to have conversations with athletes if they're going through a bad day or having a bad time or having relationship problems, or for athletes that have, children in the program, young children, having those conversations. So Coach Saban, he goes a great deal. He goes a great deal in making sure the totality of that athlete, athletic life, home life, parenting life, whatever that particular athlete is going through, Saban makes sure he puts things in place to have that in-house, to have that situated. So appreciate Tobias right there. We go to this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
What's going on, Steve? This is Elijah from Jersey. How you feeling today, bro?
Doing great, man. It's Monday. We got spring practice kicking off on Friday, man. I feel good.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it, too. Just to, get some insight on how guys are looking. But, I want to just chime in on this, the offensive line, the regaining of the dominance. I look at it and say it's key that we return a guy like Seth McLaughlin. That's critical. That's the man. That's like the point guard of the offense. He calls out all the signals. He calls out the blocking schemes and things like that. And quarterback help him out too. But he's the guy down in the trenches that's negotiating all this. I think it's also important that the interior line is coming back. With the two offensive guards returning. The communication is key, along your offensive line. That communication has to be there. Now, as far as the tackle positions go, here's my honest thought about this. We're going to struggle there. People have to realize, okay, and I don't think a lot of people do realize, we play in the SEC. We put out probably the most defensive players in the draft, including when you look at the SEC, we had the most dominant defensive fronts in all of college football. So when teams come to play Alabama, they're going to know the two newbies, just like a quarterback notices when a defensive back is a newbie in the game. They're going to test them. So people just have to, hold on to your britches. These tackles, right tackle, left tackle, they're new. They're going to get tested. Some of the tests they're going to fail. Some of the tests they're going to pass. But the key part here is, and me and you have talked about it before, Steve, is that Bill O'Brien has to be on his A game. You have to offer these guys some help. You can't let them sit out there on that island against elite pass rushers and get chewed up. They're new. They do not have what you just mentioned, Steve, the game time experience. Practice is different. Game time is something totally different. You can't sit back there. I don't care if Tennessee finishes 5-6. They still got 4- and 5-star athletes along that defensive front. Auburn, Mississippi State, Ole Miss. These are elite athletes on these defensive lines. So Bill O'Brien is going to have to play smart. Put a tight end over there to chip these guys. Get a running back coming off that edge to chip these guys. Something is going to have to slow these guys down until they get their feet underneath them to be able to perform to the level that is an Alabama standard. They don't have the game time experience. So I just truly feel deep down inside that, we are going to struggle a little bit on the edges of the offensive line. Nothing wrong with that. But what can help these guys gain confidence is giving them a little help. Lining up a tight end there. Have a back coming off the edge chipping them. Or, you know what? Do something we haven't seen all season last year. Do the short, quick passing game, Steve. The 5-yard slants, the 5-yard outs. Everything don't have to be way down the field. So Bryce Young gets the ball out of his hands quick so these guys don't have to block for so long. That is key to helping these guys because everybody knows along the offensive line, you become great when you establish that confidence. When you got confidence that you can hold your own, you don't have to worry about, oh, man, this play takes 10 seconds to develop. I got to block this elite pass rusher for 10 seconds. So I believe once these guys get the confidence, they'll turn into the players everybody wants them to be. But we have to realize right now we're going to have to go through these growing pains with these tackles out there. We're going to have to go through the growing pains, and hopefully they come along sooner than later. But that's all I got to say on that, Steve, man. Let me know any comments you got. Once again, great show.
Appreciate Elijah from Jersey calling in right there, and good points on his end. There are going to be some moments where whoever ends up winning both tackle positions, whether it's J.C. Latham or Tommy Brockermeyer, whether it's Amari Cotton, Damian George, whether it's a combination of guys, there's going to be some moments in the regular season. There's going to be some moments in spring ball, fall camp, and in the regular season where there may be some difficulty, but can they ride it out? Can they learn from that, quickly adjust from that, and be solid, be strong, be quality players at the end of the day? Be quality, productive players, because that's the main thing there on the offensive line. Got a couple of super chats to get to, so how about my man Bill? Big Bill from New York, that $5 donation helping us out there in the super chat, showing love. Appreciate Bill. And my man Tobias from Fresno, Tobias Brookins, that 50-piece in the super chats helping us out here as well. Callers, hold on for the next 10 minutes when we get to this break, or you can call back within the next 10 minutes. But we get to the quick call topic. We've already kind of mentioned this a lot, and that being one Calvin Ridley, who was suspended by the NFL and the Atlanta Falcons for the entire 2022 season due to betting on games, gambling on games. All I can think about is Pete Rose is somewhere going. You gave him 1 year, and I'm not even in the Hall of Fame. And everybody knows Pete Rose should be in that Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. But I digress in the situation. The purists of the world will say, Calvin shouldn't have done it. Yes, we get it. But if the NFL can prioritize gambling to this degree, and gambling to a sense of, think about this, Calvin Ridley was not even with the team. When you're not with the team, there are certain things you can't even really do. So if he's not with the team, and according to him on Twitter, he was not even watching football at this time, he's making blind bets. So is making a blind bet taken away from the integrity of the game? Think about that. Let that rotate around the cerebellum for a minute right there. Is making a blind bet really taken away from the integrity of the game? Because this is what Calvin Ridley's saying now. He's saying didn't even watch football, wasn't even with the team. So if he's not with the team, if he's not in communication with the team, if he's not even watching football, and we live in a day and age where sports betting is at its highest peak, when you got guys like Steve Mariucci former NFL coach, when you got the Manning family with Peyton and Eli, and these guys are advocating for, hey, sports betting, sports gambling, when you've even got DraftKings, a sponsor of the NFL, when you got the NFL making the Mercedes-Benz Superdome in New Orleans, the Caesars Superdome, where gambling's at its highest peak, and it's advocated by the NFL, and here comes Calvin Ridley, not with the team, not watching football, maybe making a blind bet here and there. Is that really is that really taken away from the integrity of the game, especially in a day and time where the NFL doesn't put as much emphasis on domestic violence or the substance abuse policy in the same framework that's putting gambling? So think about that here for just a moment. We're gotta shout out Matthew Shelton with that $19.99 in the super chats. They're coming from Matthew Shelton helping us out here on the show. We'll take a break here, folks. Don't touch that down. When we get back, I dive into the 5 most crucial positions for the Crimson Tide to open spring ball. We'll be back after this.
You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace at weownthefourthquarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your 4-finger bling necklace right now at weownthefourthquarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters.
Look at all these great players in Touchdown Alabama magazine. Man, wait till I turn up this year. I'm gonna be on the front cover. But what if Will goes off? Or Joe, DeMarco, Chris, Tim, Christian.
Don't wait. Order now at touchdownalabama.com or call 833-483-2624 today.
Christian.
Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
All right, people, we're back into the information or the conversation from the break of a number one forum for Crimson Tide football news in my own words. Yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama magazine. Appreciate you guys checking us out here on a Monday, getting that work week and spring practice started off correctly. Bama kicks off spring ball in Tuscaloosa on Friday, and this brings us into this topic of conversation, the 5 most crucial, critical positions to open spring ball for Bama. I mentioned this to start the show. This is where we get a first-hand look of the coaches, the players, as Alabama begins its journey back to, or its push back to, the national championship game to try and finish the job, to try and win the college football playoff trophy here. So 5 most critical, crucial positions here for Alabama. And we start things off with number 1. It's self-explanatory. It's the offensive line. Offensive line has to be right this season, has to be better this season. It brought over Doug Marrone last year from the NFL. It was not a fit. Marrone didn't work. It was up and down. It was inconsistency all year. You didn't know who the center was until week 12. Right tackle was an absolute a dumpster fire. Right guard at times was up and down. It was so much inconsistency on the offensive line. And I think the biggest thing was to go from winning the Joe Moore Award with Kyle Flood in 2020, having Mac Jones only sacked 13 times, to having Bryce Young get dropped to the ground 39 times and not even being a finalist for the Joe Moore Award. That rubbed Saban the wrong way. That was something that Saban did not like to see. So having that physical, that rough rider, that tough, that dog mentality, even from the offensive line standpoint, Coach Saban wants to get back to. And for you as Alabama fans, the question you have is Eric Wolford the guy? Is this the guy to get this program back to, from an offensive line perspective, what we want to see from it? And I think he is. When you look at what he did with Kentucky, with guys like Dare Rosenthal and Darren Kennard and the guys on that Kentucky offensive line being Joe Moore Award finalists, that's a big deal. He is highly respected in the Southeastern Conference for what he does. I think he's going to take this offensive line, make it better, make it more intense, make it a more dominant group, dominant unit here. And according to people that I've already had conversations with, connected within the program, the guys already seem to like him. That they love the energy, they love the feistiness he has, they love the attention to detail, the techniques he is bringing to the table. So there's already starting to be an attitude of they really like, the players really like what Coach Wolford is bringing here to the table. Now, of course, in the first topic, I mentioned my projected 5 starting offensive linemen with the likes of Amari Kite, Javion Cohan, Seth McLaughlin, Emil Ekiyor, and Damian George at right tackle there. And this is not a group that will be set in stone. This is just kind of a projection to begin spring ball. Coach Saban normally has his older guys, his experienced guys to start spring ball, but that doesn't mean that's going to be the 5 guys. We could very well see a J.C. Latham take over. We could very well see a Tommy Brockermeyer rise and take over. I mean, at that center position, Darian Dalcourt is still there. Can he get back healthy and find his way somewhere in here? So expect a lot of fluctuation, expect a lot of moving pieces, but the main thing is, can you get 5 guys on the field consistently that overwhelm the opposition, that impose its will on the opposition? That's the main thing. And I feel like Wolford can do that. This offensive line can be back right. But it's the number one group that's crucial here for the success of Alabama in the upcoming season starting in spring ball. Number 2, I look at the wide receiver room. And for this reason, it's who will be the player or group of players that develop that trust with Bryce Young? Who will be the guy or group of guys where when Bryce throws the football, he knows so-and-so is going to catch the ball. He's not going to drop the pigskin. Who will be a guy or a group of guys that Bryce trusts? He knows this guy is going to run the right route. He's going to break the route off correctly. He's going to know what his job is and details on the field. And Young built up that trust with Mechie, Jamison Williams, Slade Bolden. Now with this group of receivers, who is the guy or group of guys that can not only build that trust with Bryce Young, but also that trust with Coach Saban, that trust with Bill O'Brien, and that trust with Holman Wiggins as the wide receivers coach every day, doing what you're supposed to do consistently on the practice field as well as the game field. Now, you've got several guys returning with Trayshawn Holden, with Bayou Jones-Bell, with Christian Leary, with JoJo Earl, with the J.I. Hall. And then you got freshmen early enrollees for spring with Aaron Anderson and Kendrick Law. So you got Jermaine Burton in here, transfer from Georgia. So it's not like you don't have a talent. The talent is in Tuscaloosa. But who will be that player or group of players that have that buy-in? Sort of like what Julio Jones had, and Amari Cooper, and Calvin Ridley, and Judy, and Ruggs, and Devontae Smith, and Waddle. I mean, those guys had a buy-in. The moment they got on the campus, they knew what the culture was, what the expectation was, what the mindset was, and they performed the job. And they performed the role. And that was the reason why Coach Saban and the powers that be on that coaching staff and their teammates had value and trust in those respective players. So for this group of wide receivers, which one, or guys, plural, are the ones that have that trust with Bryce Young, that he's comfortable with them, but also the trust where the coaching staff as a whole comfortable with those guys on the field? Because this is an unproven group. Young group, talented group, but unproven group. So this spring, it'll be fun to watch which guys develop that trust. That's number 2. Number 3 for me will be that defensive tackle position on the front line. When Alabama's been at its best defensively, it's had an unblockable, unstoppable, dominant, high motor, nasty defensive lineman smack dab in the middle of that front line. It's had that when it's been at its absolute best. And this goes back to whether you talk Marcel Darius, whether you talk Terrence Cody, whether you talk Jesse Williams, whether you talk Nick Gentry, who was underrated, but Nick Gentry used to come after people, especially in that 2011 season. When you talk Dalvin Tomlinson and Deron Payne and Quinnen Williams, as of late, the recent one, Christian Barmore. When Alabama's had that nose tackle that whipped up on everybody, that could not be blocked, that could not be neutralized, that walked a center and a guard into the quarterback's lap for a sack, that walked a center and a guard into the backfield to blow up a running back. When they've had that guy in the middle of that defensive line with that high motor, Bama's been really, really, really good. And for U.S. fans, the question is, does it have that guy? Does it have that high motor, can't be stopped, can't be blocked, can't be neutralized, can't be contained, is creating so much havoc and friction for the opposing team? Now, thankfully, Bama's got some guys here on the roster at that position. The usual names, the DJ Dales and the TM Smiths, but you got a Jamil Burrows who can play that spot, a Jamarian Latham who can play that spot. You got a Damon Payne who can play that spot. You got an Anquin Barnes who possibly can play that spot. You got a Tim Keenan III at that spot, and also a Jaheim Otis as a freshman enrollee at that spot. So there are guys on the roster that can play at that defensive tackle role. The question is, which one of these guys can emerge to become that next unstoppable, unblockable force? And it'll be something that Freddie Roach, as a defensive line coach, he's going to have to crack the code on this and find this in spring ball. Because if he can find it, it's going to go a long way into Alabama's defense being that top 3 or top 5 group across the board that you want it to be as fans of the program. So that's number 3 at defensive tackle. Number 4, we're going to go to the running back room for the reason of how will the responsibilities, the carries, the roles be divided up or divided out in terms of situational football? That's the big thing. How will the responsibilities go in situational football? Because the more I watch Jahmyr Gibbs' tape, the more I'm like, this dude is more than likely at this point going to be the starting running back. I mean, I got a chance to talk to a guy that I know personally that grew up. Jahmyr Gibbs played football 5 minutes in high school, 5 minutes from his house. And the guy I was talking to was like, Steven, I watched Gibbs play his entire high school career. Guy is big time. He's elite. He's special. He is prime time. Like, this guy came to Alabama with his focus on not only being a starter, but being a Heisman Trophy, potentially Heisman Trophy winning back here. And with the skill set he brings, it's going to be very hard to deny him the opportunity to be of a number 1 back here on this roster. But when you look at him, when you look at Jace McClellan, that before injury, I mean, he was doing everything. He was catching the ball out of the backfield. Very good safety valve for Bryce Young. He was running the ball in between the tackles. He was showcasing that speed. He was doing all things he needed to do on the field. So you have him. You have a Trey Sanders that has he's got power. And the thing with Trey, do you make him a short yardage back on 3rd downs? Does that become his role? I mean, it could. Does that become his role, especially with Alabama being a bit more pass happy in recent years? And then you have a Roydell Williams who could be that 3rd down short yardage back, but he's also got speed out of the backfield. He's got shiftiness. He's got ability and he's got cutback ability and contact balance. He's got hands at the backfield as a receiver. So for the running backs, the reason why this is critical is how will the responsibilities be divvied up? How will the roles be divvied up? When it comes down to situational football, who's on the field first? When you look at first down, when you look at second and short, third and short, if it's that rare fourth and short where Saban goes, oh, well, the heck with it, go for it. Who is on the field in those types of in-game adjustment situations there. That's why the running back position is going to be important to look at, crucial to look at. And so last but not least here, of a defensive secondary for Alabama, but for one reason, and that's how healthy is Malachi Moore back for year number 3? If he can regain that freshman form from 2020, this could be really interesting for Bama secondary, because going back to the spring roster on RollTide.com, Daniel Wright's not there. Daniel Wright is not back for spring football, which means he is no longer with the program. He's used up the eligibility. He's gone. So with Daniel Wright no longer listed here on the roster at that dime backer spot, this is intriguing, because if you were to take DeMarco Hellams, who has the body type for the dime linebacker hybrid role anyway, because you want him playing closer to the line of scrimmage because he loves the action, he loves to hit at 6'1", 208 pounds. If you move DeMarco Hellams to dime linebacker, that opens up free safety to Malachi Moore. And if he's 100% good from the back spasms and whatnot, if he's 100% good, you put him back there at free safety, and he regains that freshman form, that could be really fun watching Malachi and Jordan battle at both safety spots. Then you have a situation where U.S. fans want to see more of Malachi and Brian Branch on the field together. You would get that if Saban chooses to move DeMarco Hellams to dime linebacker and have Malachi at free safety. You would get more of Moore and Branch on the field together should that happen. There's also the situation of you can keep DeMarco Hellams at free safety and move Malachi to that dime backer spot. That's also a suggestion. I don't really foresee that happen. I kind of see the first option more so than the second one, but it all boils down to how healthy Malachi is entering spring ball here, because Brian Branch has been outstanding in that nickel role. You know you're going to have Eli Ricks as one of the starters at corner. The other starter could be Kool-Aid McKinstry, could be Kyrie Jackson, could be Terrion Arnold. I mean, if Traquan Fagans comes in here and flips everybody on their head, oh, mama, that's going to be insane. But you've got a 4-man battle here at the corner spot opposite Eli Ricks. So the secondary, going to be interesting to watch here. Crucial position, but especially if Malachi Moore is 100% healthy and you put him at free safety, that could be something really intriguing here in the fall. But starting off here, spring practice for Bama. That's going to take us, folks, to our next break here on the show. Don't touch that dial. We're just getting started. When we get back, we dive back to the phone lines to grab your calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your chats, your conversations coming right after this.
Don't touch that dial. Call in right now as we're taking your calls up next on In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith. Brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Visit WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com now to get your 4-finger bling necklace.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Marvin Constant, All-SEC linebacker and 1999 SEC champion. You are listening to In My Own Words, brought to you by Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Roll Tide.
Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to WhitwellSports.com and get your Title Towel today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more. Go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
And we're back into the action here, folks, from the break. Number one form for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine on a Monday, getting that work week started off correctly. Also, spring practice for your Crimson Tide kicking up here on Friday. But we got some super chats to get to right now. So how about my man Rusty Chambers with that $50 donation? The super chats, appreciate that love come from Rusty Chambers. That daily super chat goal of $75 has been met. Appreciate you, the Bama fans, helping out here on the show. On today, our own John Ivory's got a poll in the chat line. You can vote on the poll right now. Who takes the top spot at the running back position starting this spring? Who takes the top spot in the running back position starting this spring? Poll in the chat line. You can interact, get your vote on in that poll right now in the TDA YouTube chat line there. But we go to the phone lines now to grab your calls. Call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. Number to call in, 205-448-1358. We grab a call here. Well, we don't have a call right here, but as you guys are getting your calls in, 205-448-1358. We're going to actually go here to a quick topic, and that goes to one Bryce Young, who continues to be the king of name, image, and likeness deals for the Crimson Tide. Bryce Young over the weekend signed his latest impressive NIL with the BMW dealership in Tuscaloosa. There was a picture on his Instagram. He was leaning up against a BMW. So Bryce Young, who had made near $1 million prior to the start of the 2021 season on NIL deals, he's now got this deal with BMW in Tuscaloosa. I wonder if Bryce Young can help me cop a BMW. You know, I wouldn't put that much pressure on him to do that, but I wonder could he help me cop one of them fresh BMWs there, as he's got the NIL deal with the dealership in Tuscaloosa. But in discussing the poll here, so in the running back poll, who takes the top running back position, we got your suggestions, we got your categories here with Trey Sanders, Roydell Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, and one Jace McClellan. And so far with the poll here, 45% of you are going with Jahmyr Gibbs, the transfer from Georgia Tech. 38% of you have Jace McClellan. 14% of you have Trey Sanders. And 3% of you have Roydell Williams. So right now the poll is going off right now with Jahmyr Gibbs getting the lion's share of the vote. So you can interact right now in the poll. Who do you feel like takes that top spot, that top position, that top dog at the running back position? My pick here, who's the top running back? Man, I like Trey. I want to see Trey stay healthy. I really do, because I think he's got a lot of potential. But I'm going to go with Gibbs due to where we are in Alabama football right now, because it's more of a pass team. And with Gibbs, if you watch his tape at Georgia Tech, he's catching the ball out the backfield. He's got really good power. He's got tremendous speed. He can go on kick return. He can go on punt return. When you're playing at Georgia Tech and you're totaling 1,800 all-purpose yards and 7 touchdowns, there is something special there. When people are constantly bringing up, oh, he's got Alvin Kamara ability. Oh, he's got Reggie Bush ability. Do you really want to turn that down? Do you really want to say no to that? I mean, that's like saying no if Megan Good wants to give you her number. Like, you ain't gonna say no if Megan Good wants to give you her number. So if you got a Jahmyr Gibbs saying, hey, when you got people talk about Jahmyr Gibbs is Alvin Kamara-like and Reggie Bush-like, it's kind of hard to not put that guy on the field and say, okay, what can this guy do, especially when he decided to transfer to Alabama. He's already here in the spring. He's already kind of turning some heads here in this fourth quarter program. You kind of want to see what this guy does. I mean, and this is not saying that Trey and Jason and Roydell are not good enough. This is not saying that whatsoever. But this is just saying when you've got so many people watching this tape and going, oh my word, I see Alvin Kamara in this kid. Oh my word, I see Reggie Bush in this kid. Then you kind of want to sit there and see what is in store. That's just me. Who am I? Like Mike McCoy said, just a guy. We will see what happens and what takes place here when you look at spring football. But for me, I would kind of have my highlighter on Jahmyr Gibbs, especially the more and more I break down this film here from Georgia Tech. But we go to a break right now, folks, on Touch That Down. When we get back, we're going to get a chance to recap the NFL Scouting Combine. There were quite a few Alabama players that performed well, that tested well, that made them some money at Lucas Oil Stadium over the weekend. We recap the Combine after this.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to stsfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to stsfootwear.com and get your All Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
All right, people, we're popping back in to the action from the break. Hottest show on the streets here, talking your Crimson Tide. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Appreciate you guys checking us out here on a Monday. Once again, we got the poll in the chat line, the poll being who takes the top spot at running back for the Crimson Tide. Whether that be Jahmyr Gibbs, Trey Sanders, Roydell Williams, Jace McClellan. You can get your vote on in the poll right there. Also appreciate you guys hitting that super chat goal of $75, daily super chat goal. Appreciate you, the fans, for all the love, all the donations, making this your show, your channel, your network platform space to talk Bama football. But before we get into final topic of discussion here, gotta remind you of TDAwear.com. That's TDAwear.com. So for all of you Bama fans, you love repping your team, you love screaming Roll Tide, you love being a part of this Alabama program, and you rep that program. You also want you repping your favorite brand, providing you the information on your program, and that being Touchdown Alabama Magazine. So you go to TDAwear.com. The link is in the description right now, where you can get all of your gear, all of your pants, your shirts, your hoodies, your sweaters, your joggers, like all cultural gear, repping your team, your fashion, your swag, your style. We got you right here, TDAwear.com. That's TDAwear.com. Continue showing that support for Coach Saban, the University of Alabama, the student athletes, and us here at Touchdown Alabama Magazine. But last, over the weekend, we had the Underwear Olympics, known as the NFL Scouting Combine, from Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, and Alabama sent 11 players to the event. And quite a few of these guys showed up, showed out, turned up, made some money, dropped the cash in the bag. A lot of these guys did some big stuff here at the Combine. And among the players that showed out, you got to look at Christian Harris, Brian Robinson, Fedarian Mathis, Jalen Armour Davis. I mean, those guys really did some stuff. Brian Robinson, Christian Harris, Phil Mathis, and Jalen Armour Davis. Slade Bowden had a pretty decent combine, but the four guys listed on screen caught a lot of people's attention. And starting this thing off with Brian Robinson, very impressed with his 40 time. I mean, at 6'1", 225 pounds, bigger running back, thicker build, power guy, not known for speed. People were expecting B-Rob to have an official time in the 4.6s. The brother ran 4.53. So people were like, oh, he got a little giddy up. He got a little giddy up in his step. Ran 4.53.40. That was a very good time for B-Rob. And on top of that, he was one of the top performers. When you look at the vertical jump, I think the broad jump, like he tested well. B-Rob tested well at the Combine. And going in, he was already thought to be a day 2 pick, second, third rounder. After that 4.53.40, he may have slotted himself squarely as a second rounder here in the upcoming draft. So a good day there for B-Rob. Christian Harris went off. And the way his Combine was, you had people going, Pete Golden couldn't get more out of Christian Harris. Christian Harris was the second fastest linebacker in the 40. Ran a 4.44.40. 4.44.40 time. I mean, Christian Harris, good on that one. Christian Harris, good in the vertical jump, one of the top performers. Christian Harris, big in the broad jump, one of the top performers. Christian Harris in the on-field drills, just the pure speed, footwork, quickness, ability, hip fluidity. Like, Christian Harris was moving, flat moving. So he's put himself kind of in that mid to late first round trajectory here in terms of the Combine. He made him some big money for himself. Then you look at Fedarian Mathis. Now, Phil Mathis, in terms of the vertical jump, broad jump, 20-yard shuttle, he was among the top performers for the defensive tackles. But in the on-field drills, you talk about violent hands, violent feet, was knocking those bags down like nobody's business. Phil Mathis was doing his thing out there. And he is going to be missed on the defensive line for Alabama this upcoming season just due to the 9 sacks he put in, the 12 tackles for loss he put in, the 53 tackles overall he put in. So Phil Mathis, strong Combine for him. And then Jalen Armour Davis. I'm going, if this brother didn't get hurt in his career, boy, what he could have been. Because he ran 4.39, fast. 4.39.40 for Jalen Armour Davis. And I should have known it because he had a track background coming from St. Paul Episcopal High School in Mobile. 4.39.40, 34.5-inch vert. Good, really good broad jump. And another one of the guys, top performers across the board in the workouts, events that he did on the field. So kudos to all four of those guys. Christian Harris, B-Rob, Jalen Armour Davis, and Phil Mathis. So that they all tested well. That they all performed well here in the Combine. It's going to be interesting to see where all four of these guys and all 11 guys, for that matter, that were invited to the Combine. It's going to be interesting to see where these guys all end up. It's going to be fun to watch. Where does Evan Neal end up? Does he become the number 1 overall pick? Where does John Mechie, Jamison Williams, Slade Bowden, where do they end up? Where does Josh Jobe end up? Where does Armour Davis end up? Where does B-Rob end up? Phil Mathis, Christian Harris, Christopher Allen. It's going to be intriguing to see where do all of these guys end up in the NFL, and we as fans being able to track them and follow their careers and see how much production they're going to have coming from the Alabama football program. But it was fun watching the combine over the weekend and fun seeing those guys have success there. But as always, Bama fans, you want the best of news, notes, information, material on your favorite program, that being the Crimson Tide. You can access this by downloading the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app from your iPhone App Store, if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store. If you got the Android phone. For your audio needs, check us out. iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, Overcast.fm, Google Play, iHeartRadio. Got you covered there. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I will return on Wednesday, continuing the conversation that is Tide football. Remember, Bama fans, you can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Have those sent to your door. That link found in the description. If you're trying to get the fresh edition, print edition of TDA, the magazine, you go to touchdownalabama.com. You click join, become a member, a subscriber today. That link in the description as well. Also, if you're trying to get, or if you fancy yourself getting the 4-finger bling necklace, 4-finger bling jewelry, courtesy of our guys that we own, thefourthquarter.com. Yes, we own thefourthquarter.com. You can check out that link in the description as well. Appreciate my man Patrick P. Money Down, as always, coming in here in the first segment, showing love on the show, getting some conversation with us on the offensive line. Appreciate you, the Bama fans, checking us out on this evening. And also my man John Ivory in the production studio, doing his thing behind the scenes. Until next time, folks, husbands, love your wives. Wives appreciate, value those husbands. Children, you guys continue doing the right thing, fun thing, smart thing, good thing, but legitimate thing to not be bored. You get yourself those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. You protect yourself. You protect the loved ones around you. Till next time, folks, I'm your man, Stephen M. Smith. And until next time, as always, you've been listening to In My Own Words.